Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted, lazy ultra runner with a golfing problem.
That doesn't even make sense. I'm Mitch, and I'm not spring breaking this week.
Oh, yeah, I'm not either.
I'm running.
I should be.
I wish, yeah.
I wish I was. Should be on spring break this week. Well, no, honestly, this week isn't so bad. I can get a lot done.
Well, we don't have to. We don't have kids that are young. We're not we don't teach. We don't do any of that stuff.
True.
So we can avoid the crowds and go when we want to go.
Yeah, spring break is kind of more of that, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
I'd rather avoid spring break travel.
It is empty at work, though.
Yeah.
There is, I get the primo parking spot, the whole 9 yards.
And you can get so much done.
Yeah.
Well, to a point. I guess you're a little different. You work with probably a much bigger team.
Yeah.
Whereas, man, I just know in my experience, when people are gone is when I get the most done.
I have been dealing with more production issues this week, and they're silly production issues. Like, somebody should know what they're doing and know how to fix it. So I've been really frustrated this week.
Oh. Are you getting your runs in the morning?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's got to help. Boy, I couldn't imagine if you weren't getting that in.
It's been a weird week. It's been raining, kind of rainy and misty in the morning.
Nicole went out this morning. I didn't have to, and so I didn't. I had a solid workup, and I'm feeling really good with where I'm at. She went out this morning, and she said she experienced everything. Mm-hmm. It was dry. Well, she said it was dry, and then it was rainy, and then it was icy, and then it was snowy, and then it was rainy, and then it was everything. Not a fun day to run.
Well, I Scav Jones this morning, and he usually doesn't, like on a Wednesday.
Oh.
So I titled my run, not the normal quiet Wednesday. He was asking what that meant.
He likes to talk?
I think he knows what that means.
Does he like running with Terrence?
Right?
Probably much the same.
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't ever actually ran with Terrence.
I
wonder if he's chatty when he runs.
Oh, he has to be.
I hope he's listening.
Yeah, he has to be. There is no difference. Yeah.
So from there, that's why we're kind of recording at an odd time. I'm leaving tomorrow after work. I'm going to start heading to Maryland, and you're supposed to be on that trip.
I am. I wanted to be. It would have been really fun. I was really looking forward to it too, because of where I am this year. I've had a solid, no pressure training workup the last few months, and when you threw it out there, I was like, yeah, this sounds fun. I'll go and do it. And there were a couple of things that made me kind of want to do it. Number one was what Stride was telling me I should be able to do. Mm-hmm. And I want to test that just a little bit. Not to the point of, I would say I'm a very conservative racer.
Yeah.
So if Stride's telling me I can do a 311, I would have probably set up a 315 or a 320.
Which would be interesting. You could do that right now because the only thing really, you're just pacing coming up. So you're going to go a lot slower than what that is.
Yeah.
Quite a bit slower because you even picked for you, an easy pace.
Well, it was going to be 350, but they are dropping. Did I tell you that? Did we go over that?
I saw his email.
Dropping to 345.
Okay.
Yeah, because they did not have enough pacers to fill everything they wanted to, which is kind of a bummer because there are people that want to hit 350. Mm-hmm. There are some women that want to, for Boston qualification's sake, hit that mark.
But it's crazy. They have
tons.
They have tons of pacers.
Every 5 minutes, it seems like. And I think that's why he ran out of spots, and he emailed and said, hey, would you mind dropping or would you mind joining with the 345? We'll go up to 350 or down to 345, whichever. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I feel good. I'll go down to 345. Or actually, I think I said whatever the race wants. I'll do whichever.
Yeah.
And he said, all right, no, 3:45. And I think that is a more typical, because it's usually like a lot of races, it's 15-minute.
Yeah.
increments.
And I got to wonder, like, if that hits both guys and girls at some, like for that time.
Yeah. True. That's true. So
Try
yeah.
to hit as many people as possible.
Yeah. And it does make sense. But yeah, so I was feeling fine, and I should have been going with you this week. And we did kind of brushed on it last week a little bit in last week's episode, that I went out and decided, you know what?
Well, you went out for a long run and decided to turn it into a marathon distance.
Marathon distance, yeah. And honestly, even I will say, even prior, I think I told you I set up like a 22 miler.
And you had it in the back of your head.
I had it in the back of my head for sure, 22. I wanted a long run. That was my goal, was a nice long run.
Which is still early for...
Yeah, for Glass City.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're getting close. What are we? We're only 4 weeks.
It's 28th.
Yeah, so 4 weeks, basically.
Yeah,
yep,
usually it's about 3 weeks out.
Right around 4 weeks.
So you got to do another one this weekend then.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. This week will be a normal, just probably 10 to 12 milers, Saturday, Sunday. And then next week, I think I probably will do another longish, maybe a bigger back-to-back. Like, instead of this week, I just did a marathon and then said, I'm going to take the day off because I can.
At some point, we'll have to do an episode on just pacing and what it means. But it's different.
Yeah.
And we'll dig into it at some point. But you usually go about a half hour slower than what you'd normally go.
Yep.
Typically.
Yep.
And
which is about a minute to a minute and 30.
26.2 miles is still 26.2 miles. When you
100%.
And when you change your pace that much, you could almost argue it's harder in some cases, because it's more grueling, because you have to be consistent and you have to. So I think it's imperative for training that you do back-to-backs and you do the really long runs, just so you're prepared to be on your feet that long.
Yeah. And so for me, what I like to do, what I've done for a lot of my pacing of races, is the last month, I'll run a lot of my runs at that pace.
Yeah.
Like whatever, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be at right now. But 8:46, I think, was what I was supposed to be at for 3:50.
I know,
so I'll have to look. But for the next 3 or 4 weeks or whatever, I'll be running whatever 3:45 pace is. It's got to be close to
and
that.
Trying to stay
8:40, 8:36, 8:40, something like that, 8:40 probably. And that's like, if I go out on a 10 miler, I'm going to just hold 8:40s. And if I go out for a 6 miler, I'm just going to hold 8:40. So I want to know what that feels like. Even when the urge is to go faster. Because if I go out and try to do a 6 mile run, or if you went out, you wouldn't be satisfied running your 15-mile pace for 6 miles.
I know. I got to do that because I'm pacing 4:35. So that's,
you got to slow everything down, and you got to be comfortable with that. Yeah. So that's what we kind of want to talk about a little bit this week, is the long run and what it takes to support yourself through that long run. Right. And because I did last week's, it makes perfect sense to kind of break that down and go, what does that feel like? What does it take to do that? And we can do a mini race recap as well.
Right. Because, what I think is you did marathon distance, and a lot of people, it's not a marathon.
I did a virtual marathon.
We fight about this all the time. So yeah, with that, the spirit of that, how was parking?
Parking was great. Man, it was easy to get in. I mean, I had a garage door opener. I had my car. I could just hit it, and I had enclosed parking. It was great.
Right. So, the hotel stay was good.
It was great. I felt like my own bed. I woke up to coffee. I could smell it in the room. I mean, it was...
So the hotel food was decent?
It was pretty good. Let me think about that a second.
What was your pre-race?
I don't even remember.
What'd you have the night before? Like, did you go out to eat the night before?
No, I didn't. I kept it really chill and relaxed.
You made a sandwich?
I have no idea what I had.
What?
That was a week ago.
That's the best part of it, is that pre-race that night before meal.
Yeah.
Go out, get something.
Yeah, that was not the plan. Oh, you know what? Hang on. We did.
You went out to eat?
We went to some friends.
Oh.
Wait a minute. I got to think about this.
Yeah,
was that Saturday?
Because you had plans. I don't think we didn't do our normal.
That was Good Friday.
Yeah,
it was Good Friday.
You had to work.
Yeah, so I worked in the evening or afternoon. I'm trying to think of what we did Thursday. Honestly, I don't know. But anyway, at any rate.
So it was very memorable. The hotel stay, the meal.
Super memorable.
All that
stuff. But logistics, it could not have been better.
Okay. How far did you have to, walk to get to the start line then?
About 50 feet.
Okay.
I would say.
Were you cold? Like, did you have to wear a throwaway or anything like that?
No, I timed it perfectly. I walked out the door and I was there at the starting line and the gun went off.
Really?
I mean, it was the best timing.
That's rare. That's rare.
It's super rare.
Man, usually you stand there and you freeze for a while and you got to bring an extra shirt or something.
No, it was great.
Go to Goodwill, pick up a sweatshirt that you can kind of toss away.
I didn't have to do any of that.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, everything. I traveled with the right people on this one. Like, it was just, could not have went better.
Who'd you line up by then?
What really interesting here, you had your own corral. I was by myself.
You didn't have
myself.
Did you talk to anybody, like in the shoot?
No. You know what? I chose to wear headphones at this one.
Okay.
So kept it just inside my own head.
Go back and forth, how you're staring down that person on the line like I'm gonna smoke you.
Like the guy talking about what was it? The guy that annoyed you at the time.
That was telling everybody
about Cocodona.
Yeah,
250.
He was talking to the guy next to him loud enough that everybody could hear.
Yeah.
So you didn't have that. You didn't have that experience.
Yeah. No.
I mean, that's an advantage. That is an advantage.
Yeah, I felt like I had the course to myself.
So, in all seriousness, we can always talk about aid station. Were they well stocked?
I had everything I needed when I needed it, except for the last 6 miles. They were kind of scarce.
Okay,
like I wish they had a little bit more, a few more aid stations in the last 6 miles.
You mean your pocket?
Yes. Yeah.
So in all seriousness, you take off. It's like, okay. And I understand you were going to go for 22 miles, and we'll get into the long run part of that. But how did you take off? Did you try to take off pretty easy? Because in the back of your head, you're thinking, I want to know what stride is telling me, like how close I can be. So, and it's supposed to be a long run.
Yeah, because quite typical for me, and I'm sure you have this. Most runners would have this, I would think, that have been running for a little while. Your comfortable pace, whatever. And for me, that seems to be an 8-minute mile. Like that is when I'm trained, like I am right now, 8-minute mile seems really comfortable to me.
So you would say you start off kind of easy.
I started off slower than that.
And then
I actually started off with like 8, closer to probably 8:30s. Because in my head, I wanted to be closer to my pacing duty that was coming up.
So you had a couple things going through your head as you're starting off on this run.
Yeah, I was not going for like stride, what stride was telling me I could do for a marathon. Like I wasn't doing any of that. I just wanted to have a solid, and I think this is what a lot of people should do when they go out for a long run, is it should be easy. Unless you have a training plan that is saying go run a 20-miler at marathon pace.
But
if
that's
it's supposed to be
rare.
easy.
I don't know if I've seen very many plans at all that tell you to run basically a tempo on your long run. Usually,
very, very seldom.
If anything, what I've seen is it's faster than easy pace, but not tempo pace.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really rare. I think I just did see one, but I think it's very specific, and it's probably more geared towards elite level where they're running, potentially 3 times a day, and they're running 160 miles a week or something like that, where this, the average Joe, like our kind of training plans aren't going to do that. So for me, no, I just said, you know what, I want to go up right out right around 8:30. But again, this is where that running slower isn't always easier. And I tend to creep towards 8 minutes and I just fall into that rhythm.
Right.
Like that is just a natural pace for me.
So you went out, you wore a pack. Did you, you just wear your orange mud?
I did. I wore my, so yeah. So for this run, anything creeping towards 20 milers, I'm going to wear my double. So I've got one 20-ounce bottle of Gatorade in this case, because it was something simple to grab, and one 20-ounce bottle of water, just plain water.
And that's what you're counting on for 20 miles?
Yeah, 22.
That's not a lot of water.
It's not. That's why I rationed the last 6.
Because it's
a
little cool, and we like to touch on this once in a while. You still need to get more water than that.
Yeah, so I was definitely dehydrated at the end.
So this is a mistake,
Well, yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
Really, you probably should have planted some water or
had a plan to get more water. Yeah, like I have in the past, and I've done this in the summer, and this is one of those things where it's not necessarily good, but you can get away with it. In the cooler temperatures, you can kind of ration and get a little further, stretch your water, so to speak. But I don't think it's not doing you any good necessarily.
Though. No, because you're going to pay for it. Your recovery is going to suck too. If you actually dehydrate yourself, you're going to feel like garbage.
Yeah.
So what you could have done in this case is because the first thing in your pack is making sure you have food and all that stuff, and make sure that you have room for all that stuff.
Yeah.
Have water. Probably carry your phone, because you do Strava. You send a message, that
a beacon,
where I'm
to
at.
My wife that says this is where I'm at all times. Now that I think about it,
come and pick up.
I did.
Come and pick up my body if it just doesn't move. You know where to find me.
It's funny because she did question. She pulled it up because she'll check in temporarily, especially for a longer run like that. She'll check in, and she said she did pull it up once, and she went, "That's weird," because I had. Because normally you're going to be running back towards the house at some point. And she saw that, but then she saw that I was running away again. And she thought, well, that's kind of funny. And then I think she was like cleaning bathrooms, so she didn't notice it for a while. And I got home.
Well, it's good that she did that and you didn't have to deal with it, right?
Well, right. She didn't come and check on me.
I'd rather run than clean the bathroom.
Well, yeah, that's for sure.
So you had your phone. And then did you take money and anything like that? Or you have Apple Pay?
So here's the deal. I would do it different if I ever think about it, and I never do. But I do have Apple Pay on my phone. So I do most times. Most places take that. So I have stopped before at a gas station, but that gas station was not on my second half of my route.
Ah.
And actually on the second half of my route, there are almost no gas stations in that area.
So that's the other part that you messed up on. You didn't carry enough water, but your route didn't take you by anything where you could get more water.
Correct.
Huh.
Yeah, on where I went. Well, here's the deal. Let's talk about this. So 2 things. Number 1, what we want to talk about on this podcast is setting up your long runs to be successful.
Right. And that's what
Let's be clear about that. And depending on what your goal is.
Your goal was 22.
My goal is 20 to 22. And I think I would have been okay with that.
Right.
However, I chose to, and it's funny because even before I started running, I was a little ticked that I wasn't going to get to go with you this weekend.
Yeah, a little bit of a bad attitude.
So I wanted to get in a marathon. And so even in the back of my head, the 22 was still a potential, like, what would it be to just run a marathon and say, screw it. Now, I didn't have real concrete thoughts about it, but I think subconsciously even I was thinking it was there. It was just a tickle, like it was there. But anyway, yeah, I definitely did not have enough for the 26.
Mm-hmm. Probably enough for 20.
I think I did have enough for 20.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 6 miles was where I rationed. Well, actually, I think I said it last week on the podcast. I started rationing closer to 16 because I had already, between 16 and 18 is when I made the decision. for those 2 miles, I really thought, all right, my next turn is going to dictate essentially 22 or 26.
Because you've done a run where you ran from here and you were attempting to run all the way to Lawai.
And completely
bonked,
didn't take enough. Like, that was terrible.
I tracked you and I brought you.
I know, and I don't think I ran like only 13 or 14 miles that day. And you already had to bring me stuff. That shows how bad that preparation was.
So you have a history.
Have a history. But all this is setting up. So one of the things you need to do if you're going to do a long run is, and I've made some notes here. Let me actually bust out the notes because I thought we made some pretty good notes on the front end of this. You need to be able to support yourself with nutrition, salt, and extras, like whatever that might be. That might be music. That might be, if you're taking gels, you might need to take honey stingers or chews or some kind of alternative, because at mile 18, your body might say, screw that gel, I'm not taking it.
Well,
so you got to have some kind of different options.
And think about this. If you actually do an adventure run, like Rim to Rim, or, you know, like even up and run trails up in Manistee or something like that, you got to carry all of that stuff and have a, you know.
Yeah, self-supported runs, long runs they're difficult.
Yeah.
They're way different than a race. And you shouldn't be, obviously, I mean, you know, you're not racing, so realistically it should be easier, which means you really should need less.
You should be running comfortable. That's the big difference.
Yeah.
But
like you said,
more of it's on you.
But like you said, it's still 20 to 26 miles. That's still a long ways. So yeah. And then the other thing I have on here under how do you support yourself is routes. You need to have alternative routes set up, because let's say your plan is to go do a 20 and that's just all it is. And you get out to where you were supposed to. And I think about this often, because when you get deeper in, let's say you get to mile 15 and you take a left and all of a sudden that road is literally closed. It might be a bridge out or whatever, or maintenance that you just didn't know about. It would suck to get like 2 miles down that road before you knew that and go, oh my gosh, I got to turn around. Now what do I do? Because now I wasn't fully intending on a 20 miler, but because I turned left at 15, 16, 17 before I know, now I'm back to 19. Now, how do I get back home?
I've done that before.
That's no fun. So then your 20 miler turns into 22. You didn't even want to do that.
We used to do that all the time, where we'd trick people and make them go way further. You tried to do that to me before.
That's different. That's different. This is you being affected by outside circumstances.
You know,
I don't think that's outside circumstances.
Funny, my friend Nate, when he lived in Grand Rapids and he was going to run home from work, and he was taking Kent trails, did not realize that the river had flooded. He had no idea.
Oh,
he got all the way down that trail, and his choice was turn around, which is a long ways.
Yeah.
He waded through it. I think it was like waist deep, and he's going down through there. I'm like, oh, I would have never done that. I would have phoned a friend.
Yeah, that is he under the bridge there?
It was on
the road itself. It
was on the trail itself.
Indian Mounds.
If it was Indian Mounds or on the other side, it would have been Vets.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it was that flooded. I'm like, no.
So yeah, that's where having alternative routes, understanding your routes, and obviously every location is going to dictate how much you need to worry about that. Like if you're in a city, you go another block or, whatever. And even around here, it's not too difficult, but.
Or end up in a bad neighborhood.
Yeah, right. But yeah, those are some things you need to set yourself up to succeed in those longer runs. And then one of the things I put down, is you need to recognize where you're at during the run. And this is something that I recognized pretty early on, that number one, I felt good. I had everything I needed other than extending the run as much as I did. Yeah. So I think I did mention this. I probably took enough for 18, comfortably 18. And I always think like too often I've taken enough for 20 and I have like half of everything I take. And it's annoying because all you do is carry a whole bunch of everything that you don't even need.
It's like carrying a weighted vest.
Yeah. And so this time I said, I'm going to carry enough for 18 and I'll eke out the last 2 miles or whatever. And you're not going to take a gel with 2 miles left.
No.
Like I'm not going to do that. You don't like gels anyway. So why would you do that? So, but anyway, I didn't even have gels. I had cookies. That's it.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's good until you're dehydrated at mile like 18.
And then you don't have enough spit in your mouth to try to chew them up.
It was so bad. I think it was like 18 to 20. I grabbed a cookie because I knew, how many calories approximately I was getting from that cookie. And that's actually really good ultra training. For those that are listening, like eating on the run is really good ultra training. So learning how to do that, having your body get ready or used to doing that.
A lot of times you come out of an aid station in ultra and you're eating and walking.
Yeah.
Like you got a PBJ or whatever else they have there. And
your body needs to learn how to digest that too, because you do need real food in ultras. So, anyway, I grabbed a cookie and they had been working fine all up until this point. I could tell I was like, I'm a little bit dehydrated here. And I took a cookie, took half. I'd been biting off half and I could barely like chew. It was just like powder in my mouth. It was like the cinnamon challenge.
Oh my gosh.
So I threw the other half in the weeds and said, I need to down as much of the liquids I have right now. And keep in mind, I'm at like 20. So I still have 6 miles to go. I need to down about half of what I have. And I would guess I had, 20. Those are 22 ounce bottles, aren't they? Probably 22 ounce bottles. Like a normal bike bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll bet I had 6 ounces left in each. So a total of 12 ounces. And I bet I drank 3/4 of what I had left. Maybe half. So I had like 6 ounces for the last 6 miles. But that was enough I think I tried one more cookie and was able to get it down. I drank that. And then like 2 miles later, I had the last cookie and I ate it. And I was able to chew it. So I'd gotten enough liquid in me. I recognized I got enough liquid in me. And, and I had 6 of those salt tabs or so there's a lot that happened in this run. I took the salt chews that you got.
They taste good.
Whatever. They do. They're good. And I took the S caps because Terrence is like, you really should take the hammer S caps. I've got them. But anyway, I was like, well, I'm going to take 6 of these. And I took 2 before I even started. And I got out to I started off with the chewables.
Mm-hmm.
Every 2 miles. Every 2 miles, I had a chewable. And then I got to like that spot where I was struggling. And I thought, well, I'll take a couple of those salt tabs. And I went to pull them out. They were gone. Like I had dropped them along the way at some point. So I said, well, I have 6 of these chews. I took 4 of them right there and downed all that water and it brought me back around.
But you know what's funny? After trying to deal with this stuff, I feel like there should be an easier way to carry salt tabs. Putting them in a bag and trying to dig them out.
Annoying.
Sucks.
I was getting so mad every time.
And if you're running a race and you're trying to keep running and do that, it's so annoying because you got that bag and you're trying to dig in there.
I was so mad several times. I'm like, this is dumb. I dropped the bag twice and had to go back.
I think we need a salt Pez dispenser.
Yeah.
Where you just hit the button.
Yeah. Pops in your mouth.
And then you got like a little fancy little holster on your running belt.
Or like, what are those? Like a coin dispenser.
Yeah.
Pop them in your mouth. Go.
I'm telling you.
We need to create that. Be millionaires.
Well, yeah. Or
or 10 years, $10 airs.
Yeah. I was looking for the right term.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
There'd be like 5 people that get it.
Dollar airs.
Like, this is really cool. I know.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Hip Pez salt dispenser.
I'm telling you.
So yeah, recognize where you're at during the run. I recognized at mile, 14, 15, I wanted to go further and get in the marathon. I wanted that long run, so I did. But yeah, recognizing, where you're at during your run. So where am I at mile 5? How are things feeling? Are things lining up? Being okay, and this brings up a good point. Like, at different times during that long run, you're going to feel differently. At mile 14, 15, wherever I decided, I was like, yep, I'm going to take a right up here, and that is going to determine it's going to be a longer run. Now, just like with any long run or marathon, at mile 18 to 20, it sucked. I was not loving life. And I'm going, dang, why did I do this? This is stupid. But
you got to put yourself in a spot where you have to get back.
Yeah. And that's really good training. If you're running a marathon, you're going to hit that point. You're going to hit that point. Like, I
have had a couple races where I felt good the whole way.
Yeah, it's rare.
It is so rare.
Like, you've ran 100 and what?
70.
And I would guess you can probably count on both hands tops the number of times that's happened.
Right.
Less than 10 out of 170 have you not hit that
right
18
where you
to 22 that sucks somewhere in that area?
And those are the memorable ones. Like, I was able to pick it up at the end.
Yeah, and that happens so often. It is. Like, that is the normal. Not having that feeling is not the normal. So yeah, recognizing where you're at in those runs, being okay to either adjust your pace, slow down. You shouldn't be going that fast. It doesn't matter. It's just a training run. And then the next thing I said is setting yourself up by taking it easier than you think. Don't go out too fast. Like, I can't stress that enough with long runs. Not getting caught up in looking at your watch, so often. Slow down, run easy, and that's all you have to worry about. It should feel easy.
How many runs do people do that own technology that cannot look at their watch all the time?
It's tough.
I'm interested. Because I actually, on our daily runs, I don't look at my watch. I don't even look at it for distance. Great. Because all I do is I set it, and I might look at it to say, what effort am I doing? And I'd probably need to do more speed work to where I would look at my watch to see what, what the immediate results are. But typically it's by feel.
Yeah. And that's good. You should definitely have those runs during the week because it takes a lot of the stress off. If all you're doing is constantly focused on your watch, man, that just makes it tough.
I just remember, first getting a GPS watch because it wasn't popular to have them when I first started running. Not everybody had them.
Yeah.
And then, like, oh my gosh, I'd be looking at that thing all the time. You're looking at your pace, you're doing all that stuff. But I've had one forever now.
But man, is it nice to not have to lay out a run.
Right.
If you got to do, well, I say that for anything under 10 to 15. Because, like, I had to lay out that 20-miler. I didn't know. I had an idea, but it is nice to kind of know for those longer runs.
It's funny.
Where am I going to go?
For my long runs, though, we'll run from the zoo or somewhere around there, and I know
a lot of the places.
I know the place. Like, I know, like, I have a pretty, even from the zoo, I got a pretty easy 8. I know that I'm going to do, if I do that, and then I just add on from there. I know if I can do the riverbank loop or something like that. Yeah. That I might have to add on at the end. So I don't have to do that much pre-planning, it seems like anymore.
And then GPS helps that a ton. Because before, you just had to keep track. Like, this is the 10-miler. This is the route I'm doing. If I don't do that, I don't know if it's a 10-miler.
Right.
Like, you get back. I've done that before, back before the days of GPS, and I would change the route for whatever reason. I'd go back and go, all right, well, how far was that little route or that alternate? The next thing is, what do you do when you don't have enough? So for me, and if you are in this situation, I rationed. I got to, like I said, 18 to 20, I think, and I realized I need to ration what I've got. And what I did is I just started breaking down the final miles. Like, okay, I have 6 miles or 7 miles left I was doing 2 mile increments. So I said, well, I'm going to do 3 mile increments. And that did help give me just enough. But you just got to break it down, and ration what you have. That's part of it. Right. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that you mentioned that was really good is, make sure you take stuff with you, whether that be money, credit card, Apple Pay, things like that will bail you out. And if your route does happen to cross that, you have an out. I've actually stopped similar to the route that I did, but a little bit different. It takes me out past a McDonald's and a Burger King. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel great about it, but I have
gotten a burger?
No. I've ran in, used their dispenser for just the water, just filled up the water and took off because I thought, well, it's just water. Can I just get some water? I've only done that a couple of times. But I think if I went through and said, hey, can I pay for some water? They'd just say, go ahead anyway. Yeah. So, but yeah, take stuff with you to bail you out. We've talked about on the podcast before where I've stopped at a gas station and bought more things than I need for the last 4 miles.
We've done that on runs too, though. I can remember running with Rudy and Perry and running down White Pine Trail from, I can't remember where we started. We ran back. We did a point to point.
Oh.
But our whole plan was, I can't remember. We must have carried something because a lot of times back in that day, we didn't carry a lot. But our plan was we went to gas stations and I probably carried just a wastewater thing.
Yeah.
And then I can remember Perry going in and buying a Coke. I was like, oh, that
looks really good.
Before I did ultras.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this tastes fantastic.
Yeah. They do taste good late. And I like down in a Coke or having some Coke right after a run. Does taste, for whatever reason, really good.
Sugar.
I think your body wants that sugar. And then, of course, carbonation is just good anyway. So yeah, these are some things. We just want to talk about self-supported runs and how to support yourself. We have talked about, and we've done this. I haven't done this. I don't think I've done this so much as people that I have been with. You've done this where you planted water, nutrition, or whatever.
We used to do group runs, and we'd go out, and whoever was in charge of the route would set up stations with water. And we used to do these small little jugs that we used to do cups with it, and we got to the point where they had spouts on them, and you just hold that thing up and just wouldn't, just pour it in your mouth. So we got lazy.
Yeah.
And then we got to the point where people started buying packs.
Yeah.
Because even back in that day, you could get water belts, but they didn't make good packs on.
Not nearly as good as they are today.
But now they're comfortable.
They're way better. I know the packs or the waist belt, they would bounce just weird.
And
they
chafe
didn't
the crap out of you.
They'd beat up your stomach or your kidneys or whatever, and it just didn't feel great.
I'd have chafing where that thing would rub.
Yeah. Because you couldn't get it to not bounce.
Yeah.
Like it just would. But they're way bebetter today, and there's a lot of different options today that actually fit secure, comfortable, don't bounce, all of that.
Because you
like
Ultimate Direction.
Ultimate Direction.
I've heard Salomon's pretty good too, but you get a big old bladder. You can get I can carry twice the water that you can carry with that Orange Mud probably.
Well, I do have.
It's heavy.
I do have the Orange Mud bladder.
Okay.
The Adventure Pack, I think it is, they call it. And that's I don't remember what liter it is, but it's a lot of water. The problem I find with those is they're not always easy to drink from. The straw spout thing where you got the bite, whatever valve. It is a training thing. Just like with anything, you need to train with it and learn how to drink from it because it's different than squeeze bottle.
My issue with bladders is if you're in a race and you got to fill that thing up, you got to take your whole pack off.
Yeah.
That's what I do like about the Orange Mud is you just take your bottles out and fill them up and you can
don't
go
even
again.
have to take the pack off, nothing.
Right. But I have front bottles for that Ultimate Direction. And that works pretty good. So I won't use a bladder in a race. I would use the bottle.
Does the other thing about those packs is they do have a couple of different types of openings. And the one I have a couple, and I think the Orange Mud one is this way. It's like the top is like a Ziploc almost,
Oh,
where
yeah.
it folds over and you have this like thing that runs.
Mm-hmm.
Those are nice because those are giant openings that are really easy to get filled up. And I don't even think you have to pull it out of the pack. Like some of the Camelback ones are like a small opening. They're kind of a pain.
The only thing that I worry, like it does have that big wide open mouth on it though, and you don't have to pull out of the pack. But if you spill it all, your
back is wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if it's summertime, it's no big deal, but anything cool, that's going to suck.
Yeah.
But anyway, those are some things we just kind of want to talk about. The self-supported long run, which I got in last week, which I'm bummed I'm not going to join you this week. But this week you do have the Salisbury, right?
Yeah.
That's this one?
Salisbury Steak Marathon.
Salisbury Steak Marathon in Maryland. It's not
the steak in there, but I like it because Lewis gaffs all the time.
How do you say Salisbury and not say steak?
Right.
Salisbury steak. That's what it is. So the Salisbury Steak Marathon in Maryland this weekend.
Isn't it like a pound? Like it's a cheap piece of meat too, isn't it?
I don't even know. I just know they're good in frozen dinners. That's the only place I've ever had Salisbury steak. No, I don't think that's true. But yeah, you have that this weekend, which is going to be, I'm looking forward to that. Hearing another race recap.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been a race recap of the Lewis Hayden Marathon, self-supported.
The Lewis Hayden doesn't count marathon.
The doesn't count virtual marathon. I'll have to make my own medal. I'll wear it next week when we do your race recap of Salisbury.
Yeah. We'll make it a dinner plate with Salisbury steak on it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's some things you should consider when supporting yourself on a long run.
Right.
So yeah, that's this week's episode. Check us out on Facebook and shoot us some comments on your either self-supported long runs that didn't work or that did work. You turned a 20-miler into a 26.
Yeah, you can comment. You can send an email. You can comment on the Instagram, the Facebook post, YouTube. We love the comments.
Yeah.
And if you give Lewis a hard time, that's better.
But nobody wants to. They always want to give you a hard time.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
So yeah. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on all the different places that you listen to your podcasts on. Be sure to share it with somebody that enjoys running content, wants to just be a part of the team here at I Don't Know Running. And email us at idon'tknowrunning@gmail.com. But yeah, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy racing season.